Hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be another short update video on the Gumball everything machine. For those just tuning in, I've been working on a 3D printed desktop sort of everything machine that I hope will eventually be able to transform into any machine a maker might need just by 3D printing a few parts. I've been working on a lathe attachment, and it's honestly been giving me some issues. I mean, it works, and I know it's possible to get it perfect, but I'm not sure that this is the right direction. I might change it up, but I'm going to show you where we're at with it so far. I have a couple of new attachments to show you, and Temu reached out to see if I wanted to review any of their products. I've recently had a lot of ideas for the machine, but these ideas kind of pushed the limits of what's possible with just 3D printed plastic. So I figured since the machine could already cut and machine metal, having a tool that could bend metal would also allow me to play around with some of these more demanding ideas for the machine. So I'm going to be unboxing and testing a slip roller that they sent me. I'm also going to be looking at Temu as a possible new supplier for some of the parts for the machine. A few backers from some other countries have not been able to use my Amazon links. I guess they're not available in their country. So having some more options would obviously be better. Alright, so what I did was I started by 3D printing a base with threaded holes for easily attaching a set of these cheap 12-inch linear rails and bearings. I used some additional cheap bearing cases for making the headstock, and it works. It worked really well, actually. And it's really cheap and it's sturdy. I mean, sturdy enough to machine steel if you take it easy. I started off by trying something easy. Here I'm turning a small piece of wood, and I find that if the part you need isn't too complicated, the easiest approach is just to use the micromotor as a cutting tool so that you don't have to waste time setting up a tool rest. And as you can see, that seems to work fine. Next I wanted to try some soft non-ferrous metal, but I didn't have any bar stock, so I figured I would just use some red clay to quickly cast a piece of aluminum. Actually, what I'm using here is Zamic. It's an aluminum zinc alloy that's really easy to cast, and while it didn't turn out pretty, this'll do for testing. I found a cheap tool holder on AliExpress that I used as a cross slide, and it easily attached to the aluminum extrusion, and this setup works. It seems to do a decent job at cutting aluminum, although the finish isn't great. I suspect there's a little play in the headstock because of the cheap bearings, but I'm confident I can get it better with a little more experimentation. Here I'm taking a really deep cut. It's way too aggressive for this tiny setup, but I just wanted to see what was possible, and I was really impressed with what this thing could do. What I'm making here is a center for aligning the tailstock that I'll be fabricating next. Again, the finish wasn't perfect, but after cleaning it up a bit with the micromotor attachment, I gotta say, the final result is pretty respectable. Next, I removed the tool holder because I wanted to try something I saw on Yuri Tuckman's channel recently. He's making an antique ornamental lathe that uses a really cool tool holder that allows you to easily turn organic shapes by hand. So I used the nut and bolt I had laying around to mimic what he made, and while mine's definitely not as pretty, it definitely works. And since the Gumball is a budget project, I wanted to see what was possible with this setup without having to buy a fixed tool holder or cross slide, and the results were pretty good, to be honest. Next, I made a tailstock using a couple more of these linear bearings bolted to a piece of aluminum extrusion with a linear rod clamp to hold the live center. I chose these bearing cases because they have set screws in the side that allow you to easily lock the tailstock into position. I wanted to be able to switch between a live center and a chuck. This cheap chuck I found on Amazon might work, but I would need to machine it a bit to get it to fit. So this gave me an excuse to test the setup to see if it could machine steel. And while I'm pretty confident it would have been able to do so, this chuck's adapter was hardened steel, which is too much for pretty much any mini lathe. So I switched to a grinding wheel in the micromotor to bring the adapter down to the right size. Then I reversed it in the chuck to take off a few millimeters in length using a cutoff wheel. The last thing I needed to do was take a couple millimeters in width, but there was no way I would be able to keep the width uniform grinding it by hand. Thankfully, the micromotor fits in the tool holder, so I was able to use it like a tool post grinder, and with a few passes I was able to get it to the exact dimensions I needed. Now I can switch between a live center and a chuck. If I could do this all over, and I definitely will because I'm not 100% happy with this lathe setup, there's lots of room for improvement. I would use a slightly smaller chuck. This way I would have more room for larger drill bits. I noticed a tiny bit of vibration when drilling, and I'm almost certain it's because I didn't properly center the tailstock. At this point in the build, I had serious doubts about this setup, so I was already pretty certain I wanted to go in a different direction. so I really wasn't committed enough to spend time centering it properly. You see, these types of inexpensive spindle motors don't use the best bearings, and they're not really designed to take this much load, especially how the belt pulls strongly from one side. These motors are great when used as intended, so I think I'll either try a direct drive type of a lathe setup, or look into finding a cheap bearing upgrade that'll give me more confidence with a belt-driven setup. Either way, this lathe attachment isn't quite ready, but I did finish an Intarsia attachment this week. First thing you need to do is screw the adjustable rest onto the splash guard using two M4 screws. Then you're going to attach the splash guard to this spacer, again with two M4 screws. I like to use the threaded inserts on the bolts as spacers because it allows me to attach and tighten everything by hand, and I don't have to worry about finding exact size bolts. Then you just attach the entire assembly to the front of the machine and bolt it down using the bottom two threaded inserts. So obviously with a diamond disc, it can be used as a typical Intarsia machine for lapidary work. The tool rest can be set to whatever angle you want, which comes in really handy for quickly sharpening just about every size drill bit. It has this right angle guide if you need to grind a perfectly straight edge. I haven't added a water supply yet, I've just been spraying as needed. But what I noticed, what's cool about this attachment, unlike the flat lap attachment, is that the water seems to get trapped and stays circulating inside the splash guard. So you really don't need to add water as often as you would think. So I might not even need a water supply. If you use the same adhesive-backed sandpaper that's used in the cabbing machine conversion, this attachment can double as a rotary sander for woodworking. Or you can also use it for metalworking, although a belt sander attachment will be finished soon, which should be a lot better for metalwork. Speaking of metalworking, I also finished this knife sharpening attachment that works really well. While all of these attachments are great, I often don't have time or really don't want to be bothered to have to reconfigure the machine for one specific use. So lately, I found that my machine is usually set up like this. Unless I have either a lot of work for a dedicated setup, or I'm working on something that requires the precision of a specific setup, I find that this setup covers most of the bases, without having to waste time reconfiguring. If I need to quickly cut some smaller stones or metal pieces, I have the diamond blade available without having to spend any time setting up the wet saw conversion. And behind the diamond blade, I have a diamond disc that I can use for any grinding or shaping I have. And in the front, I rotate between this smaller pitch chuck that if I need to hold anything small, I just quickly heat it up with a lighter or a torch, and it can hold whatever I need it to. I've been trying to learn how to carve fantasy cut stones, and with the stones mounted here, I can easily carve, cut, polish, and manipulate my work. And if I need to hold something larger, I can swap it out for the lathe chuck. When it's holding metal pieces, it makes it really easy to cut or engrave circular patterns by just switching out different tools in the micromotor. You can get some really cool effects very quickly. I sometimes apply patinas while the work is spinning. That creates some really cool effects too. I've been testing a lot of micromotors to try and find the best ones to use for the project, and I got two new ones in this week. One was $29 and the other one was $85. And wouldn't you know it, they're both exactly the same. Same box, even down to the same serial numbers. The good news is that they're the best quality so far, so now we have a new $29 micromotor for the project, and it's really good. I also got a whole bunch of PWM speed controllers, because I want to upgrade the machine to have a separate speed controller just for the micromotor. This way we can run the lathe and the micromotors at different speeds. This would be a huge upgrade, and it would only add like another $1 to the cost. But I'm having a really hard time finding a reliable supplier for this part. The parts just keep coming in defective. And finally, Temu sent me this slip roller to review. It comes pretty much assembled. You just need to screw on the handle and the adjustment knobs. The brand is Vevor or Vevor, not sure how you pronounce it. But this isn't my first Vevor product. I already had their rolling mill. I've had it for maybe 5 years now, and it's still going strong. That machine is a beast. I use it all the time, so if quality of this is even half as good as my rolling mill, I'll be really happy. I was going to bolt it to my table, but I noticed that it also gives an option to mount it in a vise, and since table space is limited in my workshop, I decided to do that. It says it could roll up to 1mm thick steel, but all I have is 24 gauge, so I'm going to try that. I'm not sure what the range is for the sizes you can roll, but this tube is about 2 inches, and it's close to the smaller end of the spectrum, so I'm going to guess it could maybe make tubes about 1 through 12 inches. The result is pretty good, considering I didn't start with a very straight edge to begin with. The machine also has a section for rolling wire and tubing, up to, by the looks of it, maybe 1/8 of an inch thick. Anyway, I'm going to be using this in the future to make some attachments that just won't work with plastic alone. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching, and as usual, if you want to participate in this project and make your own Gumball everything machine, the info's in the description. Alright, see you next time.